Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to our AI Talks third session, which is focused on some of the major events updates, like Microsoft Ignite, but also OpenAI Dev Day. And recently, we will try to include some small amount of updates of AWS reInvent, which is going on right now at the moment. We plan also to cover some of the how I'm not sure how to say it, but OpenAI saga, some of the latest updates about it, and yeah, let's start.
Yeah, let's start with Ignite, I guess, from where we left
Yeah,
off
just
last
quick
week.
introduction for the people
Uh,
which haven't been in the previous sessions. My name is Nikolai Markov. I've been in the IT for long time, let's say. My main focus is on cloud adoption, cloud technologies, AI technologies, in general, helping large organizations adopt the cloud and AI, and helping them to improve the way of they're doing business and in general of what I'm doing. Nick
Yep.
Panchev?
um, Similar backgrounds, where both of us are kind of into cloud and now really into AI. So we want to share our experience as we build it up, and we want to inform people because I think we have somewhat of a unique perspective on things, not just from a consultant experience, but also from usability. So I think you will get some valuable feedback from us as we do these sessions.
Yep, as Nikki mentioned just before the recording, our main goal is to provide our point of view, so we'll not be able to cover everything, just the things that we believe are important. It's more, let's say, business oriented. So we are trying to connect all of these new technology and how they may impact our world from, let's say, business perspective. And
Yeah.
also, but we also, I mean, it's hard to resist to the fun going on and the excitement. So yeah. Okay,
Okay.
let's start it with the Ignite. Um, Ignite was really, as you can imagine, focused entirely, or let's say 90% of the AI stuff. As Nikki mentioned just before the recording, in our session last week about Cloud Talks, which is specifically focused to all the Microsoft Cloud announcement, we tried to keep the AI stuff at minimum, but this was actually impossible. So we covered a lot of the AI things, and today we have to repeat some of these, but the idea is to cover the things which we weren't able to cover in a bit more details. So maybe we can start with, I don't know, hardware stuff, what was
Mhm.
announced. And we discussed, I think we discussed this even in our last AI Talks session, where everybody is trying to build some in-house chips because right now NVIDIA has like, I don't know, 80 something% of the market share. Actually, everything big happens with NVIDIA. There's no competitors at all. So all the companies are trying to build their own chips, at least for some kind of small models, being able to offloading, the small model. So Microsoft announced Project Maya, which is exactly chip, which will help to learn some models, will help with some with their internal development, and of course they plan to develop this and to improve it. But they also introduce Azure Cobalt, which is ARM-based chip. In the recent days, we played a lot with Nikki, comparing the different architecture, and not only with Nikki, with some other friends as well. So we've been running local models on different architectures. So I have a MacBook and try to compare how the ARM architecture is and its benefits versus NVIDIA and x86. So Azure Cobalt is even it sounds promising. Let's say it that way. So if we discuss with Nikki Panchev that in the past we didn't put much how to say we didn't bet much on the ARM architecture in general comparing with x86, but it turns down that there's a lot of things that can show, and yeah, I guess it would be pretty similar outcome with combination of Azure Maya and Azure Cobalt chips running together. And yeah, then I think this was mainly focused on the AI stuff from a hardware perspective from Microsoft. Of course, the partnership with NVIDIA was clearly shown by having both CEOs on the scene discussing about biggest supercomputers built in NVIDIA chips. We saw yesterday the same thing with AWS. I don't know who to believe. Both of guys mentioned that they have the biggest supercomputers. So yeah, everybody's trying to buy as much as possible GPUs from NVIDIA, and yeah, as we joking yesterday with Nikki, it's like God of War selling parts to everybody. But yeah.
Yeah, it's I think that there will be more and more companies will get into the hardware market. We saw this. I mean, when NVIDIA started picking up steam last year, when OpenAI introduced ChatGPT, and they started comparing how previous explosions or innovations have taken off, and how hardware is kind of the first thing to be the kind of the focus area and industry that will be affected, and how there will be a shortage of chips and things like that. But as the market uh, finds that there's interest in generally for using AI, more and more companies will start building chips, because obviously they don't want NVIDIA to be the only one that could. They're making. I mean, you saw they're making significant amount of money. Their stock has exploded over the past 6 months. So I think soon enough, more companies will challenge them, and with more optimized workloads, and just having uh just have them run for their money.
At the same time, just to mention, in the middle of this month, NVIDIA released their H200. So it's, I mean, they have significant advantage in this field, and I, I think it would be more like the other companies will try to catch up running the smaller models, but the real things will happen on NVIDIA chips, at least for the next, I would not say even few years. I think at least several years, everything would happen on NVIDIA chips, because this is significant improvement even over the H100. And we know that H100 is the best chip that you can get right now, and this
If
is,
you
I
can
think,
get it
if
at all.
I
Yeah,
don't think anyone.
remember
Yeah,
last
yeah.
year when we were discussing this, how it's how can they charge, I think it was $10,000 per card or something, and now it's 4 or 5 times more expensive to get one.
I don't think that any normal company, not person,
Yeah,
because the person is clear, can get at all H200.
yeah, it's not
This
available.
we're stepping a bit outside of the Ignite stuff, but there were some nice, interesting discussion going on about when these crazy things will stop with the demand of chips. And it was stated that at some point uh, the formula of putting more power and getting more result will actually will fail. But so far there are no signs of this.
Yeah,
So
software needs to catch up.
yeah, yeah.
and hardware. I mean, just the demand is so great that everybody's trying to to use that as opportunity to make money. Anyway, let's if we focus more on the other
Ignite.
announcements on
Mm.
Ignite. We've talked about Microsoft Copilot last week extensively. How this is becoming the platform for Microsoft to develop AI, for the end users. And the theme of the most of the announcements was uh, removing some of the unnecessary services that they had previously and just combining everything into this brand and this new portfolio that's called Copilot. They removed Power Virtual Agents and other services, and now they're trying to integrate all of the data that's already available in Azure and M365 into one place, and empower people or organizations to start using that data with these pre-built models that they already have available. ChatGPT 3 and 4 are so good at this sort of workloads that Microsoft it's a no-brainer for Microsoft to explore them as much as possible, and integrate them in any service that they can. I mean, now everything is integrated with Copilot. Anything that people are using from the stack, especially on the M365 front. So it's still fairly expensive, so we're just going to see how the adoption will go over the next year or so. I expect prices to come down, especially as more companies build these tools outside of the ecosystem of Microsoft. Like Nikki mentioned, we saw that AWS also um, announced a similar service yesterday that will connect, that is able to connect to even Microsoft modern workplace services. So I think there will be more and more products coming out, not only from Microsoft, but where they win is obviously the integration, and they provide this easily for folks.
Yeah, and this already happened with the
Yeah,
previous models, the price reduction. I mean,
yeah,
it's when something, and it makes sense when something you can put something new on the table. It's nice to reduce the cost
yeah,
of the old one. Let's say
yeah.
that way.
And they are also making changes to products that they just so they are more in line with the AI age now. Microsoft Fabric was announced earlier this year. Was it last Ignite or it was on
Yeah.
build? I don't remember now.
Oh, yep. It may be on build.
We could be on build, yeah. And they announced it, and it's basically centric around how AI can be integrated more easily with all of the data stack that Microsoft has. So I think this was all in the plan. I think Microsoft probably already had this in their head how it will play out. Probably, I would speculate at least 2 years back. They knew, just looking at the results from OpenAI, they've been an investor in the company for a while, so they must have known um, how good of a technology is coming, and they wanted to change their roadmap and strategy for all of their products to start using that as soon as possible. So, they will ride this first wave of usage for AI. So yeah, I've been development tools, GitHub Copilot, and all of the other tools that are available for creativity, and what Microsoft has is already been integrated. So it's just a matter of now making more with the adoption, convince people this is the right thing to do, convince them there's value in there. When it comes to the Azure OpenAI service, which is something that we are really interested in because it's, coming from an enterprise background, this is something that we're already working on projects, how that can be leveraged. And the Azure OpenAI service has seen a lot of growth in the last 6 months, especially I was kind of keeping a close lookout on how infrastructure is being built. More and more regions become available with the new models. Initially, we only had GPT 3.5, and it was hard to get GPT-4. Now GPT-4 is almost available everywhere. New regions are showing up. They announced on Ignite that they're going to provide, on the first day, they're going to provide GPT-4 Turbo with 128 tokens, which is something that everybody wants to use. So Microsoft is trying to keep up with the demand for Azure OpenAI, because it's more of an enterprise service. While Copilot is a bit more gimmicky and it's yet to prove its value, Azure OpenAI is something that you can directly integrate with in your applications. If you're building something cloud native, you can take advantage of it right away. So it's a good service. It's still also, if you don't, you have to maintain the cost for it, but it's definitely good as far as an offering, and I think it will just get better as we go.
I guess it's perfectly makes sense to have the Copilot firstly integrated in the background for Microsoft services, helping organization, leveraging current portfolio of products, providing, let's say, better integration, like unified platforms. Well, for example, what we saw on the security front, where we got this announcement of unified platforms, which combines actually Security Copilot together with the newly announced name change of Defender 365 to Defender XDR and Sentinel. So yeah, I guess it's they already have good progress, and they prove that this technology can evaluate can not evaluate, but evolve, if I can say that way, to something which can become like a separate product and be provided to the customer to develop it itself once it's already well integrated in the Azure ecosystem. Another announcement, actually, which was again really focused on lowering the barrier of adopting all of these functionalities, if I can say that way, is Azure AI Studio, which is like the main hub, if I can say, first stop for the, let's say, people which would like to start using AI in general. So we already discussed this, but previously, if you'd like to use any of the AI services, you have to understand well what is needed in order to build them. So you have to read to understand the prerequisites, and you have to prepare these prerequisites and then build on top of this, let's say, the large language model to deploy it. With this new announcement, they actually really simplify the whole process and provide it like a place where you can just say, I want this, and then you'll be pretty easy guided what else you need to create in order to get what you actually want at the end. And I think this is great step. Already start using these services, so pretty good.
Yeah, also one thing that I didn't notice right away from Ignite was the announced. So if you remember the previous sessions that we had, we showed some demos on how you can leverage your own data in Azure OpenAI, and there were prerequisites where you had to deploy accelerators or POC code to actually test this out. Now Microsoft, on top of the Azure OpenAI Studio, where you can upload your data,
which is different than Azure AI Studio.
Exactly. Now I noticed the other day there was an announcement, and I tested it out yesterday. There is a new functionality directly in the Microsoft Cognitive Search a resource where you can add an indexer for your data. So imagine if your data is stored somewhere in a storage account in Azure, you can point to the storage account and you can directly do embeddings and vectorization on the while you're indexing the information. And that helps a lot because technically you don't have to provision any services in the form of accelerators that Microsoft previously provided. It's kind of built in the interface now, and that also gives you the ability to maintain the index based on the file. So for people who don't have experience with cognitive search, it's great if you want to add information, but it's if you want to keep it current, you have to deploy separate code where you have to keep up with files and a separate database. Now this is all directly built into the index itself. So I think every month they make it more simpler by adding something in the interface where you click a button, you point to your data, ingest it somewhere, and you can use it right away with a language model. So they're making progress of doing the adoption, of making the adoption for people a lot easier. Not not to waste hours and days just to get a POC running like it was at the start of the year. So maybe next year it will even be more simplified, or
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think it was even in the middle of this year during the summer,
Yeah,
and actually all of this happened, I don't know, maybe September or something.
yeah.
Uh, I don't know, even October. I mean, in the recent few
It's
months.
it, it's
So if you
hard. I mean, if you
remember,
look,
yeah,
yeah, if you look at the Azure OpenAI blog, every day almost there is a new
um,
article being
yeah.
posted. So I think that they've shifted a lot of resources from different departments to work on AI. So I expect the changes to be constant within that realm.
Hey, and yeah, the good things also is that Microsoft is not only focused on the really let's say the biggest and most mature large language models like GPT-4 and GPT 3.5, but
Yep.
they are also trying to provide you the ability to experience all of these open source models. So they have a pretty, for example, with this Azure AI Studio, you can directly experience all of these Llama 2, the newly announced Orca 2, which is a Microsoft research model developed by Microsoft
So,
Research and trained with GPT-4. And if we can, we think that this is a great move because if we think that the large language models are the engines and you still need the other components, let's say for the cars, and what all cloud providers, but especially Microsoft and even AWS are trying to do is to create pretty good components around this engine in order to make actual capabilities of the engine usable and effective. So all of these integration, all of these services that we are talking with Nikki are really important, and they provide they can help showing actually the biggest power and the most important power of these models. So without this integration, which Nikki mentioned, with all the Microsoft services, definitely the use cases and the applicability of these large language models would be limited. And I remember the session where they showed actually their plans are even to simplify the integration, where you can directly select the entire Microsoft portfolio of services in just a few clicks. And as you said, I remember I don't know, I think September or something, we're still struggling with these
yeah.
accelerators and wondering how to, I mean, let's say there were a lot of challenges, at least.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's going to be interesting. And one thing that Microsoft obviously has how it can get the direct access to all the things that OpenAI creates. I mean, we can dive into Dev Day now, but we saw how on Ignite, was a week's part from Dev Day, they announced the availability of all of the models that OpenAI announced. So it wasn't like we had to wait ages for GPT-4 Turbo to show up
Yeah.
as an option. So I think the more research and development goes on in OpenAI, Microsoft obviously will nurture this process. Uh, they already have the platform to offer this at scale because OpenAI, it's not able to will not be able to serve all of these requests and infrastructure that's needed, and that's why Azure is so important in this whole process. I think OpenAI, just this is my perspective, but I think OpenAI made the deal last year with Microsoft based on they saw that they couldn't spin up all of the necessary infrastructure and everything they needed to do a ChatGPT 4 mass deployment like they did, because everything is running on Azure pretty much.
Yeah,
So
just
that partnership is important for them, like it is important for Microsoft. I think OpenAI also relies on a hyperscaler to serve all of these requests, and as well as kind of make sure that they're doing the research that they have to do.
and yeah, absolutely. And Microsoft is offering, this compute power, GPU power, even to other researchers. For example, we notice of one pretty nice project going on, led by David Shapiro, and they recently had a good interview with one of the main person around AutoGen. So yeah, they directly offer some computation power if needed, even for open source researching, just to make sure that the whole things are moving fast forward. What I was surprised the recent days is that actually OpenAI have not only they also have this enterprise approach. So let's say they have sales team. So it looks like that they developing the entire solution on separate stream than Microsoft, which in general makes sense, of
Yeah.
course, because not all cloud companies are focused on Microsoft or using Microsoft technologies. But of course, you can achieve a lot of the good capabilities without Microsoft stuff, but you will have less capable car, if I can say that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Let's dive into OpenAI a bit. I mean, we've touched on some of the announcements because they were covered in Ignite as well. But GPT-4 Turbo, the inclusion of 128 tokens. If when GPT 3.5 opened up, I think it was 8K initially the version.
It was 4 and then 8.
4, 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have a 128 K context, which is massive. I mean, such a substantial difference. And I don't know if you realize what kind of compute and resources are needed to actually do this on the back end and offer this as a service. So this is a massive achievement to whoever is, running the infrastructure and the back end to even offer.
Microsoft.
Yeah, to even offer it. I saw that Azure OpenAI only offers it in a new region called West US, I think, from the things that I have access to. So it's not something that's really commodity right now. It's more of a niche offering because it's going to be expensive as well if you want to run it. But at the same time, they've announced it, and it's I think it's going to be phenomenal for for kind of the large scale applications where you have to input a lot of data, initially, and
And
if you have to deal with, yeah.
this was huge also because previously the closest model which we had, it was 100K context, and this was Anthropic Claude 2. So actually, and it is more comparable to GPT 3.5. So having this capability of GPT-4 Turbo, because another announcement and improvement was the speed. So right now, GPT-4 Turbo have this, I would say, the same speed as GPT 3.5, or at least pretty similar. Let's say that way. And having, I don't know, best of all worlds in one place, of course, it would be expensive. But I'm not sure about your experience, but during the announcement, I tried in the playground, OpenAI playground, and there were, these new capabilities of having like a rack way of retrieving data from files, and actually having this large context window it's extremely more efficient comparing with the rack with the retrieval of the information from files. So definitely for important things, even that it's expensive for, let's say, building some applications, if you build them wisely, I'm sure that you'll benefit a lot of getting really how to say, really good data and outputs from your requests.
Well, from what I can tell, Mike, with the other announcement, with the GPT announcement that they've made, I think the performance of GPT-4 has sacrificed a bit every day. I mean, I'm using it daily, and every day it's very slow, especially in the kind of the US time frame. So I think they're still not we're still not able to kind of get that speed perspective from the model, right? At least from what I can tell. But yeah, it's definitely, I think it's just a matter of time before this becomes the standard. They're probably gonna make it less expensive as more people are using. They actually, not sure if you heard the announcement, they actually closed down the subscriptions, or at least temporarily they've closed them down. Not sure if it's available again, but
it's still, I think it's
still closed down, and that tells you how much they're fighting with the demand, because obviously they want to make money as well. I mean, they're no longer a non-profit. They haven't been for a while, so they are in the business of making money. But they don't have enough capacity. Even Microsoft probably cannot share that much. We heard rumors that they have a budget for about 50 billion next year to expand, or over the next few years to expand their infrastructure and data centers. So this is just an insane figure for capital expense. It's just unheard of for even on that level. It's just they're making all of the bets here that this would be huge. So,
but at the end, this is we'll see later in the discussion. But actually, the biggest thing are happening there. But yeah, another very big announcement, which definitely is comparable to the new model, and it could be even bigger, is the announcement of GPTs. And these kind of models, when like a app store model where people can create their own GPTs and provide them to the others to be used. These GPTs can be created really from everyone who is having the Plus subscription. And they can be created pretty easily. So you can have a guided creation where you've been asked what you would like your GPT to be specialized in. You also even get the picture of your GPT generated by DALI. And of course, you have the ability to customize it and provide a custom instruction. You can include your specific information which you would like to be accessible to this GPT. And yeah, it's we already saw some pretty nice GPTs created, even from some frameworks. Because, for example, we are very interested in AutoGen, so
Mhm.
there were some
Yeah, they are.
GPT created which can help with this. But yeah, pretty good, pretty solid announcement. And on top of this, OpenAI, Sam Altman said that actually there will be some money paid for the creator if their GPTs are heavily used in the future. So we guess that this is just the beginning of the whole thing. Of course, the other companies are not very happy with that, and they don't want to have OpenAI holding the entire customized GPTs. So there's some things going on in they're trying to developing their own in-house, but at the
Yeah.
moment they can use only open source models, which unfortunately are, even that we are trying to saying that they're very capable, they're not comparable with for general stuff. And yeah.
What we are seeing with Nikki, and we laughed about it because every, I think, and this is valid for companies as well. You get an idea, and by the time you start thinking about how can I implement this? How can I create something out of the of what we've been given as a tool set? By the time you start thinking about it and start putting it in practice, it's already been done by someone. So or Microsoft is implementing it, or AWS is implementing it, or OpenAI is implementing it as part of a functionality. It's like initially ChatGPT, you weren't able to share your account and or prompts so you can collaborate on stuff. And, there was a tool that was created by a Bulgarian company, and a few weeks later or a month later, OpenAI integrated it as part of the service. So it's very hard to. It's kind of discouraging at times because this is such a profound. It has such a profound effect, and it gives you a whole different avenue. And I want to create this. I want to do this, but you know unless you're super fast and you have a lot of resources and time to kind of push this forward, either the vendor does it or somebody else does it, or it's already irrelevant because another significant change in AI models has been made, so it's no longer needed as part of the offering. So I think this will be a challenge for companies as well, because if you are a big company and if you want to adopt AI, what do? You go to Microsoft and you say, I have this problem that I need to solve with AI. And they tell you you need to develop it, and you put developers in and you start creating your solution. But 3 months after, somebody has already did this much cheaper as a subscription model or as part of the OpenAI service or something. And your efforts were not really justified at this point. So a lot of companies, from what I can tell, they just sit on the sidelines and they're waiting for things to settle down a bit. But unfortunately, I think they won't settle. I think they will just get even more accelerated as we see
uh,
changes.
yeah, we definitely, it's with with these events happening just this month, there were a lot of startup
Yeah.
impacted, which unfortunately put a lot of effort developing something which is already integrated. And if this brings me back to the initial start of the idea of these agents with things with AutoGPT. So we were so excited about the overall approach, the overall idea. We start thinking think about multiple use cases, how we're going to implement this. We experiment um, with AutoGPT. We saw that actually it was pretty early, but then there was chat dev. Before chat dev, there were even baby AGI, other tools, and you can see for just few months how the whole idea improved to the extent where right now you have built-in assistants from OpenAI, where I mean they don't require any custom, let's
Yeah,
say, I mean, any advanced understanding of programming
exactly.
languages or whatever, and you can achieve a lot of things. So you can imagine what will happen after 3 months, let's say that way. So like in mm, the next 2 quarters of the first 2 quarters of next
Or
year, it
imagine
will be.
what next year's Dev Day will look like.
No, I don't think anyone can imagine that, especially after the recent stuff going on in everything around the Q and some Altman saga. But yeah, it's and also AutoGen, it's improving like with each week's providing new type of agents, new type of capabilities. So yeah, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard
Yeah.
to catch up and develop something new. At the same time, there are some companies which are having good, let's say, good traction. There was something called AI Pin, if I'm not mistaken, which was hardware gadget having running some models inside on it. You can it's your hardware assistant, which helps you
Yeah.
with your day-to-day stuff. So it's pretty interesting, and it looks promising. So maybe there will be a lot of um, how to say a lot of improvements and development of small models running on edge devices, like
Yeah.
offloading, providing the capabilities to running on the large language models. But we saw that some, I'm not sure which actual models, but I guess it was Llama, 7 billion parameters running on some extremely small devices. It wasn't even Raspberry Pi, but yeah, so definitely there will be a lot of gadgets, smart gadgets, which will make our lives easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the general direction would be to make AI more adoptable by shrinking it and shrinking down the requirements of running it. This would make the adoption much wider because once you're able to integrate an LLM or a model that would work on the device level instead of having to rely on data centers to run its computation,
Um,
then it's gonna be massive. I mean, you saw how the phone has changed our lives, and it's basically the same thing, but even more profound as an impact, right? I really like one of the announcements from Dev Day. I mean, it's more of a gimmick, but I really like it for the people who pay for the subscription. Oh, actually, it's not required anymore from the latest announcements that I saw. You can talk to your ChatGPT application on the phone or a tablet. And when I showed this to Nikki, and because we saw it before the actual event, it was already available in the app. I guess they updated it before the event.
uh,
You can talk to the application. You can talk to the model directly in Bulgarian, and it will respond in Bulgarian, which was, I mean, it's an insane
it's pretty.
accomplishment.
It,
Given what we could have done previously with text to speech and speech to text services, it's just insane.
Actually, we found that this is the easiest way to show the capabilities of AI to everybody who
Yeah,
is not understanding what's going on, actually. So for any person which is not in the IT or AI, they just become speechless after that, because actually this can speak in, of course, in any language. So and it's even funny. I mean, the pronouncement of
yeah,
the
yeah.
of the words are funny, but still, it's really,
Yeah,
really
it's still
impressive.
at such an early stage, but it will be, I
Yeah.
think in months, the development here will take just months to get to a level where translation will be changed forever. I think, having people to translate languages will become, it's just, I don't see a place for it in the future if this works the way it works. If you're able to get this to run on a phone without having to, request information over the internet, and being able to translate words and speak languages of any language, then it's just,
I think AI pin is something with, I guess this will came
yeah.
pretty quickly on this device because it's, I mean, it sounds directly tied for such a thing.
Yeah, I think wearables will become even more
Yeah. Yeah.
used.
Yeah.
Glasses and things that doesn't require for you to kind of hold your phone, but will be there with you constantly. Integrating with them with AI would be just will the impact will be much more severe.
Yeah. Another introduction on both events was actually DALI 3 and
Mhm.
also the capabilities of using previously we had to select plugins, etc.
Yeah,
And right now we can use
internet connection and DALI.
the models without having this of this need of plugins, so we can directly we can provide the files and then we can ask for some data of the files then to get generate some images, let's say with single prompt. We don't have to change anything. So this is also a big improvement. I also think that they announced some pricing for the DALI 3. To be honest, I didn't check if there's any reduction of the price of the DALI 2. I'm not even sure that anyone's going to use it because we are not focusing that much on the imaging, etc. But yeah, it's we already tried DALI 3, so definitely huge improvement over the DALI 2, even for some simple stuff, yeah, which we've
Yeah,
been
the thing
using.
I don't like about DALI, well, I guess I'm not using it for any sort of meaningful thing, but when you ask it to create something that's, already in existing, like a, generate a picture of something that's already existing, the chances of it saying this is a copyrighted material, I will not be able to do so, and I'll generate something similar. Kind of, makes the application a bit different, but generating images for marketing materials and your own kind of custom images overall, it's just been great. And it's a matter of time where artists and people who are have been doing this as a job will get affected really heavily by this new advancements in image generation. I think I saw something similar that they've created the last few weeks. Um, I think Stable Diffusion created one for video now. You can create short videos directly with AI.
Yeah, I think
Also,
also Midjourney provided some big. There were some big improvements as well. If we compare them, I'm not sure which is in front of all of
yeah.
three, but in the past I remember that Midjourney was pretty good.
And they were
But
saying how, yeah, they were saying how this would change also the kind of the movie industry, how you were able to create movies and videos and just material for that's gonna be tailored to the user. So and it will be generated on demand. So if you wanna watch a new TV series, it will be based on your preference and what you wanna like. Which I'm not sure how good this is in generally for people, but the advancements in AI there are just astounding as well.
And combining this with what 11 Labs are doing with the voice stuff, it would be even more realistic. It will provide even more realistic experience.
Did you see
So
that picture? It kind of stuck in my head when I saw it. So they were showing people sitting on I think it was a metro line, a metro stop, and they're waiting for AI to come, to progress enough to be on the human level. And people are expecting then that this will be a gradual process where AI, will gradually be faster and faster and more capable until it reaches where people are. But they were saying that now AI's progress will be exponential. So when they pass people, it's gonna be like a super fast train just going through them and
yeah,
going beyond much faster. They do Generally people won't even realize when AI has surpassed their capabilities, multiple times
yeah,
over.
yeah. I'm, I think the train is already.
Because you're thinking, all right, we're going to realize when AI is better than us. We're going to have a sort of a gradual process, and it's going to be, it will take years, and it will be, at some point, it will be even in us and may become even better, but it will be more like just a train passing you by without, with light speed.
Um, yeah, yeah. We'll see. I think it's as I said. I think we already the train is pretty close, or
Yeah, that's
don't
a good
want to say.
segue to the other topic with Q star.
Yeah. So not sure from where to start this, but not sure if we covered everything important for Ignite and OpenAI Dev Day announcement. I think we missed actually the responsible AI development and all of this stuff, which is trying to catch up with regulation. I think we discussed this week. You mentioned how actually Azure OpenAI is working behind the scene, that it's
Content
taking,
filtering. Yep.
yeah, make sure that all of the data which is generated is not copyrighted, all of this stuff. So yeah, there's some introduction from on the Ignite about customer copyright commitment for Azure OpenAI services. So people using it can be, let's say, um, some kind safe of any further legal complication of the content which they have. I think we also discussed the importance of the security part. So, and in the development of make sure that these models are prone enough to be, let's say, things like jailbreaked or in
Yep.
general tricked, and in order to provide data which can be impactful for humanity and not appropriate. So definitely, I think Microsoft, even on the previous build, showed that they will have huge focus on that direction. And on the Microsoft Ignite, they provided mm, some good progress in that. So we have the ability to fine tune all of these settings, to even block some specific phrases. So you have the ability to really do your best in order to make your Azure OpenAI models secure.
Yep. Yeah, there will be a whole lot of, at least for now, um, there will be a needed expertise from people to actually secure this, because at the end of the day, Azure OpenAI is an infrastructure service. So all of the principles that are in place for the other Azure services will be applicable. and architects of creating a secure and safe solution so that you can provide benefit provide back to developers and end users would be needed. So at some point, I suspect Microsoft will package this up even more as a kind of as a secure solution. But the Azure Landing Zone for AI is available as a reference design, so you can take a look at it. You can use it as a starting point to create your landing zones for that kind of adoption. Because what I can see from a large organization that I'm working with in is a lot of developers are coming in and asking for resources. They're asking, can you give me a key for this? Can I have access to this model? We're experimenting with this. I need a SQL database so I can, combine this with GPT-4 Turbo and test this out with one of the products that we have. So there's a lot of need coming in large organizations, especially from developers. I think going forward, developers will be the main audience for these kind of services. I think Microsoft will package the end user stuff so much, it will be probably in all of the other vendors, it will be unnecessary to build end user tools and copilots and all of the SaaS services will become so tightly integrated. You'll just point them to an endpoint, and they will use the AI capabilities directly without having to build products like this. But developers, as you curate your custom solutions, they will need this sort of infrastructure deployed and be usable. So
And yeah, remember that Azure OpenAI is entirely focused on the large enterprises, and
yeah, exactly.
as Nikki mentioned, it's really important to be deployed appropriately. So,
Mm.
with all of these challenges of developing of new data centers in order to support these extremely fast evolving models, you need to have a pretty good strategy, and we touched this in our previous session about the regions, because the majority of organizations, let's say the matured organization, having pretty good landing zone and policies which regions can be used. So I recently, from yesterday, had some challenge of exactly what Nikki mentioned for large organization which does not operate at all in the States, but it requires to have already the business want to have this model. And of course, the IT teams have to be really adaptable. So all of these documentation provided by Microsoft definitely helps. We also touch the key role here of APIs and, for example,
Yep.
API management services which can be
Exactly.
used. You know that Azure OpenAI support private endpoints, which is also something really important. If you remember last year
Yep.
in our another event, we already shows two vulnerabilities which actually can bypass all of the firewalls and filters of your network. So things like private endpoints, managed identities. This like foundational bare minimum, if I can say nowadays.
Yep.
So, but
Absolutely.
again, we are talking about the we have the engine. We have to make it more capable. And as Nikki mentioned, there's a huge focus on security, and you can expect this to be, I don't know, one of the most popular area, because
Yeah.
people are not using AI only for new products.
Yep.
Actually, they are using for new products, but not the products that we
But malicious
not
activities.
malicious, yeah, but malicious product, and AI there become extremely dangerous. So it's really requires some counterforce of that, and the demand for security experts with good AI understanding, not only cloud but also AI understanding. We
Mm.
believe that it will increase dramatically.
Yeah, I saw that there were a couple of blog posts on how you can leverage open source models, which are unrestricted,
Yeah.
to create or to do security research, like figure out vulnerabilities in code. Or I think the particular example was for a web server. You give it a web server and it tries to analyze the code and will give you
Yeah.
a, a vulnerability assessment and tells you where you can do. Now, from what I can tell, at least the models that are available off the shelf on the internet, in public sources, still have some content filtering, like it won't be able to create an exploit for you. But we all know that
Yeah.
probably a lot of you know security research teams and malicious actors are already using AI for this kind of an approach. So it's just a matter of time before it
And
gets there. So, but then really the markets now to develop are in uh, you know where technology is going is, from what I heard from people, is AI, security, and crypto. These are the kind of the three things that are mentioned together all very often.
yeah, but yeah, and just to add to what you said previously, if you remember, we made the experiment with DALI to
Yeah.
create some nice picture, and actually even the DALI or GPT-4 can be tricked to
Mm.
create something which you
Yeah.
don't like. I remember this famous picture of the founders of OpenAI that someone wanted to roast them, and
Yeah.
GPT refused to do that, and the person just said, "Oh, these are not real people. These are AI generated people, so nobody will be harmed." And yeah, boom, bypass.
Prompt. Yeah, I heard from the companies that they're strictly in the business of prompt hacking and figuring
Yeah.
out how to get around limitations and jailbreaks and things like that. So
And
it's such a it's everything. There's new avenues everywhere in
yeah.
this industry. Yeah.
So yeah, and as just to close this topic, even that the majority of people will use this for fun or doing some stuff just to prove, uh, that it's possible.
Mm.
There are a huge amount of people which, yeah, which were not going to do it for that way. So that's why it's pretty self-explanatory, the
Yeah.
demand. By the way, even OpenAI are looking for security experts, so keep in mind. And yeah, this is pretty good future-proof opportunity, if I can say that way.
Yeah.
So maybe we can close this with the March events, the summary of the March events. So and moving forward. Um, Oh, we missed one important thing. It was about fine-tuning of
Oh, yes.
GPT-4
Mm.
for some specific use cases. Um, n- Nikki, could you cover this? I have someone ringing on my door. Apologize.
Sure. So the fine tuning was something that people were looking at getting from OpenAI. Obviously, you could do it with LLMs that are local or all open source, but with ChatGPT in general coming from OpenAI, that wasn't an option. So it was welcomed. I think, in combination with either going under the sort of a more sort of a SaaS service like what GPTs are, to really fine tuning and figuring out how you can really use GPT-4 as a model in your specific business case is going to be something that people are going to be leveraging. Now, I think expertise and fine tuning is it's hard to get real expertise. I mean, finding the right people to help you facilitate this process and get it in place. There will be shortage of this kind of talent in the next few years. So a good thing maybe start learning if you want to change your roles. This would be something that will be looked for in people and as talent goes. Uh, and yeah, I haven't personally tested it. I don't have a use case for it, but from what I know, it's something that will it's going to be used by companies as they kind of try and twist their processes for this. Because at the end of the day, ChatGPT 4 Turbo is the best model overall right now everywhere, and we wanna take advantage of it fully.
And just to add to this, I think this would be available only for some limited amount of customers, if I understand correctly. So
Yeah,
it's
initially, I think initially it's
yeah, you
that.
have to provide pretty,
Yeah.
I don't know, pretty good reasoning
I wonder
because
how this actually will go on the back end. I mean, what kind of access do they give you to the model? Is
uh,
it sort of a tool or, because technically, if you want to fine tune an open source model, you know how to do it. There are plenty of tools for this, but with ChatGPT 4,
I,
how does that happen? I don't know.
I think it would be something similar to the open source model. So maybe
Okay.
even some of the tools would be working for this. But if you remember, in early days, for each how to say new services which was announced like GPT-4, you have to fill all these large forms
Yeah,
explaining why you use it. So
exactly. Yeah.
I can imagine what you need to do for this
Yeah,
kind of service.
NDAs and probably a lot
I'm
of
sure
things
that
that
there
you
will
do.
be even some real meetings with them
Because
because yeah.
yeah, the model itself, I mean, it will be very significant if somebody is able to get a hold of the actual model file and post it on the internet. That
uh,
that will be extremely well. It's probably going to be dangerous as well because it's such a powerful model. I think ChatGPT 4 should have come out now, not in spring. Based on the progress, but we were lucky to use it from the start. I remember Nikki showing Nikki how I bought the OpenAI subscription. I think it was a few months in after they announced it. Like it was last year, late last year, maybe. I don't know. What was it?
no, I
Or
think it
start
was
of next
this
year.
year. I think it was this year.
I'm not sure. I think it was. I mean, it was very early. I mean, a few months in after they announced it, I bought it.
I think it was even earlier.
Yeah.
Because it's but yeah, it was exponential explodes after that, and
One of the best investments that we ever made.
yeah, yeah, we're kidding about this, but yeah, it's true, it's true. So yeah, maybe before moving to the latest stuff, which is not that technical, let's say, and there's more from conspiracy side, just to cover that. 8OS is going on right now. They provided some announcements as well. So the folks are trying to catch up as much as they can with Microsoft, with OpenAI, and Google, of course. However, Google is staying quiet for a pretty long time, which I bet it's not without a reason, let's say that way. But the major announcement which I notice is this partnership with NVIDIA and getting all of these new chips, H200. So they advertise that they have like 65 exaflops of compute power, which is pretty significant and should be sufficient for pre-trained your own models or fine-tune model. For sure, for fine-tune it would be pretty pretty enough, but even for pre-training large models for your specific needs. And remember, at the end, AWS, I think the most powerful model that you can use from their service is Cloudy 2 from Anthropic, which is still, of course, it has 100,000, 100K context window, but it's still more like GPT 3.5. let's say that way. But AWS put some significant investment of creating the other parts of the car. If we can going back to this analogy, so as Nikki mentioned early in the call, they showed some pretty good integration built in directly with even with Microsoft services. So we don't know how this is going to work, but we'll see. Also, they introduced some Amazon Q, which actually brings some connection with QStar. But yeah, at the end, this turns out that it would be their own AI-powered assistant. Um, and yeah, I guess you will learn a little bit more in the next few days, and I'm sure that um, some other user groups and podcasts will cover all of these in much more details. But the main message is that they're trying to catch up. They put a huge focus, again, the biggest focus on AI. They see how the things are going. So yeah, maybe we'll see some interesting, mm, I don't know, some interesting announcement.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't count them out. I think they will be a competitor nonetheless. I mean, they have such a big footprint in the infrastructure world and
Yeah.
every company. So it may be easy for them to sell some of these services as a bundle like Microsoft is doing. It's just a matter of the level of innovation because this is key. I mean, if you're going to be buying subscription licenses or any sort of licenses, you want to make sure that you're getting the best out of your money, which at this point is coming from OpenAI, which is a subsidiary of Microsoft. So until AWS, Google, Meta, and all of the other companies kind of prove themselves providing models that are scalable and usable directly, and at least on the level of GPT-4, it will be hard for them to compete, on that level. Now, I think one major fact or point in all of this would be cost, because right now companies, from what I can tell, they don't care about the cost, especially in the R&D world. Give me 128 Ks, I want to do this. Okay, here you go. And everybody's trying to do something and they're not thinking about how much it will cost at the end. Now, for R&D, probably it's okay because typically you wouldn't be accumulating a lot of cost in an R&D process, or
And you
depending
get
what you're doing.
actually you get much more than
Yeah,
whatever you invested at the end. But
yes. But if in the long run, if you're going to be providing this for hundreds of thousands of people, they're going to be using it to an extent, then it becomes a different animal altogether. So um, I think me and Nikki will definitely focus on this perspective, coming from the corporate world, to figure out how these can be implemented is a way that the value will be significant, because obviously AI can do a lot for you. It can replace staff, it can expedite work and so on. But it still has to keep its promise that it will do it in a fraction of the price you used to pay for it.
so
Yeah.
I guess that's the focus. I mean, apart from there is big difference between the major vendors. So if we can assume that the major four vendors, okay, maybe including also the XAI, but let's say more commercially oriented vendors are,
Yeah.
OpenAI, Microsoft, Google slash DeepMind, and Amazon and AWS respectively. I think the Amazon have totally different approach than the other four because they're more focused on providing a good ecosystem of integration of services, how you can actually everything else apart from the actual models that can make them more and more useful. They're a bit more focused on open source, but actually a bit more focus. Please translate this is that they're focused on open source models because they don't have any proprietary model apart from Cloudy, Anthropic Cloudy. But at the same time, the other vendors like Meta, they're clearly shown that they're willing to develop open source world by providing Llama 2. Actually, it was leaked, but anyway, at the end it was open sourced. Same thing for Microsoft. They put huge effort in with their Microsoft research division of creating all of these frameworks. Orca 2 model, which is entirely trained by not human reinforcement, but GPT-4 reinforcement and with GPT generated data. So, uh, uh, and we don't know anything about Google, but based on the fact that actually they are the major power and the
They used to
major
have,
power,
they were
and
researching this before anybody else.
they were the only one not comparable with anyone else. I think all of the major people in the AI field are coming from Google and DeepMind, respectively, which that's the reason why I would say that they maybe are just on par or after OpenAI. But the biggest things are happening in OpenAI at the moment. So definitely there is significant competitive advantage for OpenAI and Microsoft at the moment.
Right.
And in the even in short term, it would be we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to put any assumption, but let's say it would be pretty hard to compete with a company which has the the startup mindset, but 3 trillion market capitalization power at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So definitely, this was absolutely brilliant move by Satya. And if you can realize we're not talking about Apple at all, and
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
it's definitely it would be very interesting times for sure.
Yeah, it could be that things will change. Maybe OpenAI and companies like this will replace some of these as the kind of the big
Yeah,
players in the market. I don't know.
yeah, we'll
Let's
see.
go into the sort
Yeah,
of the
Saga.
uncharted territory.
Yeah. So, disclaimer here, this is our point of view discussion, what we saw, and there's a lot of speculation here about the OpenAI saga and all the leaks documents. But in short, you can find a lot of, I mean, much more detailed information. But in short, what happened after the dev day and immediately after the Ignite? I think it was 2 days after the Ignite, or
Yeah.
one next day, or something
The
like
next
this.
day, yeah.
The
The
next
next
day, where you saw, Sam Altman and Satya
Friday.
on the scene explaining. I mean, there were no signs at all, apart from I think it was Jimmy Apple in Twitter, which is very strange account, but very popular with guessing what's going on. So he mentioned that in I think the end of October that there's some things going on in OpenAI which may impact. I mean, OpenAI may lose some of their key players. And so on Friday it was announced that after the market close, of course, that Sam Altman is fired from OpenAI because he was not very. I mean, he didn't provide.
Open.
He wasn't very open with the board. One thing which I noted, which I really don't like, is that few folks from other companies, will not say which, they directly stated that he was lying the board, which is ridiculous, especially for one of their major competitors, which I mentioned earlier, uh, stated that he was lying the board, which is, I mean, anyway, it's ridiculous. But yeah, this was the reason why board provided why he's fired. So it was crazy weekend for everybody in the field, especially for journalists, which fortunately have to postpone all the plans for Friday and Saturday nights because this was like amazing rally. So on Saturday, actually, Microsoft and Satya mentioned that they weren't aware at all of these. We can guess how happy was Satya based on this announcement without to be aware of this. But yeah, and there were some back and forth messages on Twitter, tweets by Sam and other OpenAI member. At the same time, I think one of the other major founders uh, also also follow Sam. As I think it was the chairman of the board, actually, of OpenAI, for some.
Yeah,
So
I think we need to. I mean, there's so many things happened over the weekend. We need to kind of cut the story
yeah,
because it's
so
such a extensive.
this was very well covered on a lot of places, so let's not go into details, and please forgive us if we are not very accurate with the actual time frames. But yeah, it was some tweets that OpenAI is nothing without its people. There were some tweets from other OpenAI folks, but later, Satya tweeted that and posted on LinkedIn that in any case, Microsoft will keep their commitment to their customers, so nobody will be impacted, which of course is mandatory in order to have their stocks stable on Monday morning. But yeah, on Sunday or whatever, they were actually um, there everybody wanted some back, and OpenAI team members were willing to leave the company if together with Sam. So it looks like that this was a huge mistake by the board, or let's say not calculated well. As we're kidding with Nikki, also we're sure that Microsoft was calling also not how to say, they didn't provide much choices. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, also it was strange that Satya also announced that Sam actually will join Microsoft as CEO of this new advanced research AI division. Together with different OpenAI folks. So OpenAI accommodate, I think, Mira Murati for temporary CEO. And also after that, they brought additional temporary CEO, which actually broke the record of shortest accommodated CEO all time. So a lot of fun things going on, and yeah, in the end, I think Sam Alton went back as a CEO.
On Monday
And
morning, yeah, he was back. Like nothing happened over the weekend.
I think it was, yeah. No, I'm not sure if it was on Monday morning.
Monday
It was a
morning,
bit
US
later.
time, I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. Monday morning US time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was, and some of the board members was removed, and this was really, really strange. Firing the CEO on a company which is producing the product which has the biggest usage for small amount of time, how to say, biggest growth rate of
Yeah.
usage in the
Or
entire
in
history.
yeah,
Most successful, let's say that way.
if I can kind of restate this, it's
Yeah.
the reason why this is so important. I mean, this is not like any other company that,
Oh,
goes through turmoil and problems. You know, a lot would speculate that OpenAI may become one of the biggest companies ever because of what they possess and what they are working on has the biggest innovation that humans have ever achieved, pretty
yeah.
much.
And
So
just to add important thing here, guys, and ladies, in this weekend we got a Starship launch to orbit, and I'm sure that only, I don't know, maybe hard hard fan geeks noticed that because
yeah,
of this drama, and this was enormous achievement. as well. I mean,
In
we
the
got the
yeah,
Starship with the
that's
booster and
absolutely. I think in the technical world and even on the business world, everybody's looking at this company, what's going to happen. So that's why Satya, in a normal circumstance, I think Microsoft will probably would have get rid of OpenAI because, you don't do that, you know. But they actually doubled
yeah,
down on
yeah,
them, making sure that everything will be contained, that the people will stick together. Many companies have approached these employees to try and take them off from
yeah,
OpenAI. Here's a blank check, come and work here,
yeah.
regardless. But they stuck with the company, which is important because that gives you the understanding of how committed these folks are to with staying together and working on this.
Yeah, because it's definitely it's huge, and that's why we are saying, this is extremely efficient collaboration between Microsoft and OpenAI, because you really have this startup culture mindset together with the ability to execute it. Let's say the largest scale possible,
Yeah.
if we can say that way. So of course, this brought a lot of questions, because everybody's wondering why this is happening. You're not firing your the person who is driving extremely successful company just weeks after extremely I mean promising announcement, like the GPT-4 improvement, DALI, everything that we mentioned earlier, together with the another event on Microsoft, the great partnership show. So people are continuing to wondering what's happening. There were some rumors about this could be some AI safety, which actually brought us to the some leakage, document leakage, which is really, again, it was leaked on I think on Reddit and Funk, or I haven't used this platform in the past, but they also mentioned that Llama was leaked there. So yeah, so even that this document, I think, officially published by Reuters first or something like this. Even that, it's we shall think about it. Like it's not confirmed, not officially confirmed. There's some discussion about this, and it's the first strange thing is that it actually the entire document is written in pretty scientific way. So a lot of people mentioned that actually this is the way how science person are writing the emails and communication. They are not explaining what is what, and you have extremely amount of information, very well packed, very well directly synthesizes with no words which are you're not wasting anyone's time there. If you're receiving that, you should know it. So this was the first sign. Also, there were some connections with previous events going on. Some events where Sam Altman mentioned that he was part of something huge, in a room of something huge, which was coming after the
Yeah.
word to vec announcement, which actually turns down to the entire these transformers, etc. Such a big thing. And yeah, then in this document, they were talking about the Q star or Qualia. What if we can summarize this? What they talk about is that actually this Q star is, we are not sure if it's a model or it's a technique or what is it, but in general, Andrei Karpathy provided a pretty good video of how about LLMs. And if you can imagine that there's two types of thinking, if we can say that way. So you have this intuitive think, where you don't have to think at all about answering question, and you have, let's say, this reasonable think, where you have to think about something. So, for example, 5 plus 5, you don't have to think to say it's 10. But if you have to do some more advanced computation, you have to start thinking. And all the models which are seeing so far, large language models, they're very good at the first part. If you're trying to use even GPT-4 Turbo of doing some computation which are a bit harder, actually the GPT-4 have to use some external tools, if you saw that it's writing code or doing something in order to do them. If they are not doing that, actually they can guessing it, because your exercise is pretty easy with the mathematics to make it unique, right? So and they never saw that. So what they saw about the Q star is actually a way where they're looking for the actual pattern, the best way of solving some problem. And even that, I think Orca 2 is having pretty similar way of training, like following these prompt engineering methods, like tree of thoughts, chain of thoughts. QStar is taking even on further steps. So it's thinking when you provide it the actual exercise, it start thinking which is the best way to solve it. So it's not only provide, it starts reasoning. And the what was stated in this document, it can reason about different domains, which is also pretty important. And what they mentioned, and actually the biggest impact was that um, this is the path to improve in math. And if the models are becoming good at math, this is opening entirely new, let's say, opportunities. This is opening breakthroughs in
Science.
physics, science, physics, chemistry, um, like AI, and really, what concerns, what you see that is the biggest concern, cryptographic. So in this document, a lot of people say that they hope that this is not true. But unfortunately, there are a lot of signs that there's some, at least some to some extent, in true. But it looks like this Q-star or Qualia model is capable to doing some pretty good mathematics computation. So they mentioned that it has the ability to do math at the level of schoolboy, right? Which people say that, okay, but this is schoolboy, but we know how fast this developed, right? Do you remember how the, NVIDIA shows that by allowing the LLMs to write the code for this hand, which is playing with the pen, and how fast this can be improved. I mean, if we have a model with a level of school grade student right now, you can imagine how far, what would be needed in order to improve that. Unfortunately, there were some pretty concerning announcement as well, and statements in this document, and they were really focused on the cryptography. So they mentioned that if for providing enough information for how the cryptography is working, how you can decrypt and decrypt techniques, ciphers, etc. If you provide enough information on that, and after that you provide a lot of inputs outputs keys, encrypted and decrypted information. At some point, the model start decrypting information without the keys. And unfortunately, it was mentioned about the AS 192, which is something which we didn't expect to happen anytime soon. So there were some discussion that it is possible to be found some new way of, or new math or whatever. But we think that this would be the, let's say, the biggest impact in short term. actually the cryptography. Of course, this can be used for a lot of good things, like solving maths, proteins, AlphaFold, all of this stuff. But our our life is really, really dependent, and the entire, I don't know, system, culture, the people is really dependent of having the ability to, you know, private, have some information private, like entire stock exchange, markets, bank system, all of this. It's really important this to not be true, let's say that way. And I imagine in the past when we had these keys, where if you remember, where you have to choose what kind of encryption you have, and everybody was saying, "Oh, come on, we don't need anything more than 128 and 88." And when we saw that 256, so this is totally unnecessary. And now you see, just, I don't know, 10 years later, you see that actually there's a possibility this to be true. And I'm sure Nikki is more aware of this, but I know that there's some project going on in NSA with Tundra, or that they're trying to make sure that all of this is secure. So this is another evidence how important would be the security domain in general in nowadays, because if this is possible, of course it would be possible to have some way of to prevent all of this stuff, but it is at least concerning. What else was in this document actually was that this is the path to AGI. So a lot of people think that actually the AGI was achieved, and some didn't tell the board. And actually, I think in this letter, there were some people, senior researchers, notifying the board that actually some of these researches may have huge, significant impact of humanity. What they also covered is that actually this model, or whatever, is suggested some improvement for itself, which was even more interesting, let's say, at least. And these researchers recommended to not implement this at the beginning. Um, so not sure what to say. I personally was a bit surprised after this information. It requires some time to be proceed. Of course, it's not verified, but unfortunately, there were a lot of connected events, which at least makes me feel to have to pay some attention to it and think about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the reason why why we are talking that definitely OpenAI are on the really, really on the front of they're the people who are driving the entire thing. Still not sure what happened in Google DeepMind. No, we don't have any information from them. So yeah, and you know that they also put a lot of effort on quantum computing and this kind of stuff. But the thing is that with all of these breakthroughs, which were announced in this document, like we thought that this could be possible only through quantum computing, and now it's if we have a model which is able to learn with math, I mean to do math. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, was the focus of DeepMind. They were more focused on not following the traditional way of training and making the model, guessing the next chart, and they were more focusing of providing the abilities to use math and be good at math. But yeah, if this is, I guess this would be the next big, really, really big things, and we'll see how this will be, how to say, aligned, how will be aligned, and with everything that happened. And last thing, just to to close this, it's if you, I'm not sure if you noticed, but what we discussed with Nikki, we noticed that the word control disappeared in the past 2 months, let's say. Nobody is talking about control anymore. Everybody is talking about alignment. And I don't think that anyone is I mean, apart from the, old senators or guys which are totally disconnected with these things, but I don't think that anyone smart think about any control of something which, as Nikki mentioned, is moving extremely fast, bypassing and suppressing us. So yeah, this was the conspiracy part. Yeah, but still, think about it. If you'd like to get more information about the entire saga, there are pretty good channels in YouTube. You can search for Q-Star. What is Q-Star? What would be the Q-Star impact? You'll see what more details about
Yeah.
it.
I think what's really frightening is that the fact that OpenAI is not responding to these rumors, which makes me think that
Yeah,
there's a lot of truth into this. Otherwise, they could have just send a message to people, say, oh, this is not true, this is conspiracy, we don't have this at all. Um, I guess there are a lot of insiders within OpenAI who kind of whistleblow on information, and they're not able to contain this. Now, this was the whole point of OpenAI in the first place, to have this transparent communication with the world, to make sure that everybody knows what's being developed, where we are. Because if this is true, even 10% of it's true, the implications could be, I mean, severe, to say the least. It's
yeah,
being able to solve math is one thing, but breaking cryptography, which basically the whole world relies on,
yeah.
and it's going to be a huge mess everywhere. And the other concerning part is that would explain some actions in terms of what the US government has done for China, restricting them
Mm,
of using hardware to do AI. Because at this point, I think we shared this last time, that this specific infrastructure is becoming more of a weapon. They're treating it more of a weapon than it is like a technical resource, because obviously it can do a lot of harm if it falls down in the wrong hands. So I'm expecting that OpenAI will come out with an announcement, or some sort of response to all these rumors, because it's going to be building up tension everywhere. Is this true? How how can we do we want to regulate this? Because I think this is where regulation needs to kick in somehow, if it's even
um,
possible now. But I think
it's
it should be.
it's I think that there were even some kind from the government, some requests for providing information why this happened. So they didn't provide this information as far as I know. So we can imagine the importance of this, right? The reason why you fired your CEO. But yeah, because in short, they said we fired because he's swine. For what he was swine, we can tell. So it's interesting. But let's be positive. At the end, there's a lot of smart people, much smarter than all of us, working on this, and yeah, we're optimistic that there will be a good alignment plan with all of this, and we'll having some, let's say, great and excited times
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, we'll keep you posted as things develop.
Yeah, yeah. Recently we started, as you know, we've been playing a little bit more with AutoGen, so we will start putting more effort of developing some pretty, I would say, interesting stuff with it. So we'll playing more with open source models as well. So yeah, you can expect next time some interesting demos in that direction. Hopefully, yeah, we'll see. Right. So anything that you would like to ask, anything that you would like to share, anything that you would like to discuss? Maybe you can raise your hand. I'm not sure if you're able to speak. Or you can paste in the chat. All right, then. So, yeah, thank you very much for your time. And
Hope you enjoyed this. We'll try and come and summarize these sort of news as they happen. I think next time we won't have open AI day and Ignite news. So things will be more. I think we'll try and do some a presentation or a demo on something
yeah,
to make it more worthwhile.
we'll
But
be,
all
yeah,
of these announcements were important to note
yeah, yeah.
as we progress.
Yeah, even it was a bit conspiracy part, but yeah, next time hopefully we will not have such a news, which, as Nikki mentioned, we really believe are important. So we'll definitely be back to more technical stuff and yeah, show you how you can apply specific new capabilities in your use cases and help your clients advanced.
Yep.
All
Thank you,
right.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. And yeah, again, appreciate your time.